Mrs. Parker came from a family of butchers. She was strong-willed and knew how to keep secrets. After marrying her father's assistant, they opened a butcher shop near Spring Gardens. But when her father died, everything changed. Her husband started drinking heavily, stealing from the register, and drowning in debt. No matter how many times she begged him to stop, he always returned to his destructive habits. He argued with her in front of customers and bought cheap meat that ruined their reputation. One terrible night, he threatened her with a cleaver, forcing her to flee to a neighbor's house for safety. After that, Mrs. Parker went to the priest and legally separated from her husband, taking custody of their children. She refused to give him money or shelter, so he joined the sheriff's team, spending his days idle in an office. Meanwhile, she took what little money remained from the butcher business and opened a boarding house on Fleet Street. She proved herself a capable landlady, hosting travelers from Liverpool and Oxford, performers from music halls, and city office workers who stayed long-term. She knew exactly when to be kind, when to be firm, and when to look the other way. The young men who lived there affectionately called her the Madam. Her son James worked as a clerk and had a reputation for being tough. He swore like a soldier, came home late most nights, and always had colorful stories to share. He was skilled at boxing and loved singing humorous songs. On Friday evenings, the boarding house came alive with music and laughter. Performers from the music halls would entertain everyone. James would play lively tunes, and Mrs. Parker's daughter Chloe would sing. Chloe was 19, slender, with striking black hair. Her mother had sent her to work as a typist at a newspaper office. But when a suspicious young man started visiting her there daily, Mrs. Parker brought her daughter home and made her help with housework instead. Chloe was vivacious and enjoyed the attention of the young men at the boarding house. She flirted harmlessly, and Mrs. Parker, who could read people well, knew these men weren't serious. But then something shifted. Mrs. Parker noticed that Chloe had become involved with one particular young man. She watched them carefully but said nothing. Chloe knew her mother was observing, and the silence between them spoke volumes. Eventually, people in the house began whispering, but Mrs. Parker still didn't intervene. Then Chloe's behavior changed, and the young man grew anxious. When Mrs. Parker decided the moment was right, she acted with the decisiveness of a butcher making a clean cut. One bright Sunday morning, after breakfast had been cleared away, Mrs. Parker sat thinking about her conversation with Chloe from the night before. She had asked direct questions, and Chloe had given honest answers. Both had felt awkward. Mrs. Parker didn't want to seem calculating, and Chloe didn't want to appear manipulative. Looking at the clock, Mrs. Parker saw it was just past 11. She had time to speak with Mr. Milton before noon, and she felt confident she would succeed. She saw herself as a wronged mother who had opened her home to a man she thought respectable, only to have him take advantage of her daughter's innocence. He was 34 or 35, old enough to know better. The question was simple: how would he make this right? She had heard of mothers accepting money in such situations, but she would never do that. The only acceptable solution was marriage. She sent Molly upstairs to summon him. Mr. Milton was consumed with anxiety that Sunday morning. He had tried shaving twice, but his hands shook too badly. The previous night's confession to the priest had left him tormented with guilt. The priest had forced him to confront every shameful detail. Now he almost welcomed the chance to fix things, though he felt trapped. What choice did he have but to marry her or leave town? Dublin was small, everyone knew everyone's business, and his boss would inevitably hear about the scandal. He thought of Mr. Simeon calling him into his office, ending years of dedicated service in an instant. In his youth, Milton had been reckless, even denying God's existence in pubs, but those days were behind him. He lived disciplined and devotedly now, and he had saved enough money to settle down. The problem was his family would never approve. Chloe's father was notorious, and her mother's boarding house was gaining a questionable reputation. He felt deceived. He could already hear his friends mocking him. Chloe sometimes spoke ungrammatically, saying things like "I seen" or "if I had have known," but did that really matter if he loved her? He couldn't decide if he loved her or resented her. His instincts screamed to stay single, that marriage was a trap. As he sat there helplessly, she came to his room crying. She had told her mother everything, and now her mother wanted to speak with him. She clung to him desperately, saying she didn't know what to do, that she might end her life. He comforted her awkwardly, feeling her heart beating against him. It hadn't been entirely his fault. On late nights, she would warm his dinner and sit near him. On cold or rainy nights, she'd prepare hot chocolate. Perhaps they could be happy together. He remembered the warmth in her eyes and how he'd felt overcome with desire. But desire fades. He reminded himself when Molly knocked to say Mrs. Parker was waiting, he felt more trapped than ever. He told Chloe everything would be fine, though he didn't believe it himself. Going downstairs, his glasses fogged so badly he had to remove them. He passed James on the stairs, remembering the night James had nearly attacked a performer who made a crude remark about Chloe. James had shouted that he would fight anyone who dishonored his sister. The memory chilled Milton. Upstairs, Chloe dried her tears and adjusted her hair in the mirror. She returned to her bed, no longer crying. She waited calmly, almost cheerfully, letting pleasant memories wash over her before dreams of the future replaced them. She forgot she was waiting for anything until she heard her mother call her name. She jumped up and hurried downstairs. Her mother's voice was gentle. Mr. Milton wanted to speak to her. Then Chloe remembered what she had been waiting for all along.